To see Joe have fun in a boxing match was one of the greatest feelings that I think Megalobox Season 2 has had to offer. This season's had a lot of pain, and I mean, when you literally drop lines like, Joe isn't going to leave the ring fully until he's dead. Of course, we're building up to something most likely very sad by the end, but hopefully we'll have that hopeful atmosphere that they have sprinkled in throughout this season quite a bit. But to have basically an episode that really sets in motion the last act to this season, maybe to the story in general. Who knows? Do we know we'll get a season 3? We really don't know, right? It feels to me like this is a production that they take it a season at a time. They end it fine, and you say, oh, we don't need any more, but if they have the ideas and the demands there, then they make more. Definitely doesn't feel like a cash grab or anything like that. But to have an episode like this where you have two characters who, honestly, I would argue are equally memorable and impactful, yet my first impressions of both weren't that strong, but by the end I came to really appreciate them. You have Mac, who apparently was this asshole fighter who really couldn't control his emotions. I was like, okay, I don't really care. He's just going to be that generic, here's the opponent for Lou, Lou's going to kick his ass, we know how this is going to go. Oh no, he actually, he had to pull out, he became a really honorable police officer, he almost died for saving people, then he got the second chance with this life-changing technology, in comes some familiar faces, and it's like, okay, you really start to believe in this guy, and you say, oh, I would actually be perfectly okay rooting for someone like this who really had this life-changing event, and clearly is a family man. And then you have the uncertainty with him kind of seemingly having this, I don't think anger towards Joe, I think it's more similar to that of Chief and how maybe someone like Mac was actually inspired by Joe. I could very well see that. Joe does have a legacy among a lot of people, so I'm hoping they go that route rather than just pure on I hate you, Joe, which I don't think really is needed for where we're at in this season. But then you have Lou, who starts off, and you're probably assuming, at least I know I was, oh shit, we're gonna have this prick who thinks so highly of himself, he's undefeated, and he's saying, you don't know what happened, you left, you were probably fine after that match, and I had to suffer alone. I'm really glad Joe didn't go the route of being like, oh, actually, I suffered maybe even more than you. Everyone has their own problems, and Joe's like, well, if I caused you some, I'll do my best to make it up to you. God knows I have a lot of shit to make up for, so might as well add you to the pile of my messed up list. So to see how over the episode, my opinion of a guy who is clearly a very skilled boxer went from he's a prick who is a know-it-all to like, oh no, he's actually just, he carries himself with confidence because not only is his mentor Yuri one of the best fighters that we've ever seen and the world has ever seen, he has the scorecard to back up that praise, that feeling of like, I am better than other people, but ultimately he feels like he has this open door that needs to be closed, which is someone like Joe. He feels like he's always under Joe's shadow, as if he needs to be able to beat him. And I like how over the episode, you really feel like they kind of build a sort of bromance there. It obviously is short-lived so far. Maybe they won't have all that many scenes going forward, but still, for what we saw, I like how you can't really take things at face value. Everything that you think you know about Megalobox is breaking and snapping away and is becoming something so much more engaging. And for an episode that literally puts Joe as Gearless Joe, but in a different coat of paint, because really, the idea of Gearless Joe is dead. With that fixed match, Gearless Joe is dead. I really feel like we're building up to Joe taking up Chief's armor. Then again, could they write it in a way that he goes back as Gearless Joe? Maybe, but I feel like I'd be much more happy if he went the route of using Chief's armor in some form of championship. I don't think he can train Sachio to be a really professional Megaloboxer just given his body type. Sure, they could have like lightweight divisions and things, but still, like, is that really where Season 2 would go? Would that not be more of a Season 3 storyline if they wanted to go that route? Especially if they kill off Joe, you could have Sachio as the main character, right? There's a lot of different ways to take it. But to just watch how, like, reunions in this show can go one or two ways. They either completely hate you or they're kind of like, you're back, I don't care, let's just try to start anew. And that's kind of how it felt like when they got into that ring. And the idea that the kids were originally trying to like paint Joe as a shitty person, like, oh, we'll get some blackmail on him, we'll put it in the paper and make him look like an absolute ass, but in return they actually made him look really good because he kind of just go with the flow because he actually was having fun. And I like how Yuri was wanting to pull the plug there, because he was getting impaled. It felt like it was just abused. But Joe actually had a fiery determination, which we really haven't seen much of, right? We've seen it obviously towards Chief and him training, but like to see Joe have that spark of season 1 where he really was like, I'm a boxer, I love doing this, you can't help but feel like a proud father. It's honestly the best way to put it. I'm really happy they didn't just end the match. I thought, because I took a look at the time left as they were approaching, we're like, okay, let's get ready to rumble here. Oh shit, we have like 2 minutes left. Are they going to quickly do boom, one punch and then here's the winner? It really felt like they're going to go that direction. So I'm hoping that next week's match will be a close one. I would be perfectly content if half the episode was their match. I'm really connected to both of their personalities, and I feel like it's going to be one of those matches that, should they give it enough time, I'm going to be rooting for both of them equally. I'll be like, okay, yeah, you know what, Mac? It's Mac time. Let's absolutely root for you. Oh shit, Lou, the determination, I can't help but root for him. It feels like you're supposed to like both of these characters. I don't think either one was written in a way to really make you hate them other than their introductions. Both of them got really interesting, like they further fleshed out, they further became more interesting. And when you have a character who literally is undefeated and he's being trained by one of the best, the way he holds himself up is understandable and he absolutely deserves to do so. But his personality, well, sure, he doesn't know everything about Joe, but Joe doesn't know everything about him. And it's not a dick measuring contest. It's not who have the worst life. You can have your own problems and it's perfectly fine. And for him, Joe was the reason he has that door open and kind of feeling like he's living in a shadow and he wants to compete again. I really like that comment where they're talking about, because obviously he wants to fight Joe and they're saying no. And then you have Yuri and the other guy there, and he's talking about how he's never requested anything from him. And I'm like, wow, this man's been fighting for how long, has been undefeated, and the one time he's asking for something, he almost gets shut down. I'm like, that's gotta sting, right? How much better can you be before you get to have whatever you want? I think Mac Time's gonna be pretty interesting. I have a feeling that I wouldn't be surprised if something malfunctions with the thing in his brain that allows him to move after being paralyzed. Because enough blows to the head or face, maybe that will rattle something and it will cause it to self-destruct. Like maybe it'll cause him to not be able to move. I'm not sure. Maybe it'll make him become an asshole again. I don't think it's going to be intentional. I really don't believe that. I feel like given the dialogue we saw from familiar faces to new ones, it felt like this is literally just supposed to be life-changing tech, and this will be a great opportunity to show the public that they can have it too, and maybe they'll be able to make it affordable and things like that. But it going haywire, I could see something like that occurring for sure. So we have 6 episodes left to go with season 2 of Megalobox, and it feels like we've officially entered the last stage of this. It's probably building up to Joe returning to the ring. I'm not sure how they would go about it, because from what we've seen, it's pretty much like 3 matches for the tournaments anymore. So if they go that direction, do we have enough time for him to train, to do things? Not totally sure, right? But him officially having a one-off match, I could see that. Because for Joe to say enter a Megalobox championship and to have 3 or 4 matches just doesn't make a lot of sense. But Joe having a reunion match against, obviously, Lou, that could be something that we build up to. He trains, and maybe he dies in the ring. Maybe he doesn't, right? Either way, I could see something like that being a satisfying stopping point. And it feels like we absolutely need to see Joe officially in the ring with the crowd cheering or booing him, whatever they need to do. And that's where I hope we're gonna continue with this season. The music in this episode was especially interesting and really well done. I love the soundtracks of Megalobox. The first season soundtrack is my all-time favorite anime soundtrack. This season has been knocking it out of the park, and there's a couple of interesting variety tracks that really go against what we've been hearing up until this point and really added a new atmosphere on top of this gorgeous presentation. Of course, as always, I leave Megalobox loving it even more and saying it's not a matter of this is going to be my anime of the season. It's a matter of will this be my anime of the year? And it's looking like it. Let me know your thoughts and feelings down below, your favorite moment, and where do you think that match is going to go next week, and who are you personally rooting for? If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, share your support, and hit that subscribe button if you happen new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.